argument was not with the people of Iraq, but with this dictator.
Tonight on Frontline, a first-hand report on the devastating effects of the Gulf War on the people of Iraq.
We have been having a disaster in slow motion over the last 4 months. Anywhere from 75,000 to 175,000 children could die due to the public health conditions.
Tonight on Frontline, the war we left behind.
Baghdad, on the night of January 17th this year. The opening minutes of a massive air campaign that would continue for the next 6 weeks of the Gulf War.
The intention here in the initial part of the attacks was to impose a strategic and operational paralysis on Iraq. And probably the thing that was the most revolutionary was our ability to strike 40 to 50 of Iraq's key strategic nodes almost simultaneously and within minutes of the time the war began. What we are looking at here is a map of Baghdad.
This man was the chief theoretician behind the bombing campaign. He wrote the Bible on strategic air warfare. Air Force Colonel John Warden's concept was that the road to Kuwait lay through Baghdad, a strategy to cripple the enemy by destroying key military and economic targets surgically.
Out of this huge city, there were only 50-some facilities in the whole area that were struck. So that if you were sent to Baghdad and dropped down at random and asked to report if it was a capital that had been at war, your answer would have been, I don't see any evidence.
In a city that for the most part remains intact, we found it easy to pick out Colonel Warden's strategic nodes. In Baghdad, 8 months after the war, life on the surface is much like any other major capital. But the facade is deceiving, just as the telephone tower is a bombed-out shell.
In essence, what we were able to accomplish by attacking in and around the Baghdad area was just the plane to make it impossible for the Iraqi high command to issue any kind of orders. We had severed the generalship from the fielded forces.
Were you also trying to have, or expecting to have, an effect on the high command, on Saddam and his close advisors? When you bomb something, were you thinking beyond just the physical destruction of that target as to what effect it might have?
No, because there's just no way to predict that sort of a thing. You don't know for sure who is in any given place at any given time. You can't control that kind of a thing. So what you are trying to do with this kind of a warfare is to take away the tools from the enemy high command, and without the tools, then they're impotent to affect the situation.
See anything in the picture?
Yeah, I've got a good map right now. I'm just getting ready to give you a target designation.
Okay.
One tool was the country's electricity. On the second night of the war, 4 F-15Es attacked the largest power plant in southern Iraq. Pilot Steve Pingle gave us his own videotape.
Okay, we'll be good to go.
I was the first airplane to attack the power plant just north of Basra.
Bombs going off behind us.
Roger.
I think our escape will be good, Katie.
Roger.
We dropped down as we crossed the Iraqi border to low altitude in a string of 16 airplanes.
Well, let's get this over with.
Redesignate.
AAA right below us.
Roger.
Target area. No problem. Low shit. I'm rolling in.
The mission was to try to put the power plant out of commission.
Shooting in the wrong direction, guys.
With the airplanes in our package, we had divided up the area to drop the bombs to be able to do as much damage as possible.
That failed. Yeah, I know.
I spent a year in Southeast Asia, so I knew what it was like to drop bombs on enemy targets. It's like riding a bicycle. When you see it once, you tend to remember that sort of thing.
Send it up 2019. To the right.
Okay, bombs are gone.
Okay. We lost the picture, huh?
Yeah, I'm trying to get it back.
All right.
Would you ever be interested in going on the ground and talking to the guys who describe what was like being underneath?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes you think about that, but no, I wouldn't go to a lot of trouble to do that because, again, we have a certain mission to do, and ours is to try and attack the thing.
We went back to the Al-Hartha plant and other targets around Iraq to see what Colonel Pingle and the other pilots had never seen from the ground. The plant was destroyed beyond repair. But as plant engineers confirmed to us, though it was knocked out of commission by the first raid, the bombers kept coming back.
After that first attack, the plant could not operate again.
There is no possibility to operate the plant because the water treatment plant is completely destroyed. Yeah.
So it would have taken months to repair it?
Yeah. Not months. You can't repeat it.
So it would take years to repair it?
Yeah.
So was it attacked again?
Yeah, 13 times was attacked.
13 times altogether?
13, yeah.
You reckon you did a pretty good job on that power station the first night?
Yes, I found that out subsequently. In fact, a lot of the details weren't evident until after the war, when we flew caps over Iraq and had a chance to actually fly over the power plant. At the time we flew over it, we didn't realize that there had been other attacks later on during the war.
Do you know how many other attacks there were?
I think from what I heard from our intel, it was only a Navy attack.
No, there were 12 more attacks.
12 more attacks? That's the first I'd known that.
Why 12 more times? A senior Air Force planner explained after the war that the crippling of Iraq's electricity system, quote, gave us leverage. Saddam Hussein cannot restore his own electricity, end quote.
You say that you put electrical power in at the strategic center. Is that right?
Yes,
is that,
very much so.
as important as anything?
Yes. And the reason why electricity is so enormously important is because virtually everything that one needs to operate at a strategic level is dependent on electricity. Taking that away then creates an impairment which is very difficult to grasp.
But the Pentagon has admitted that the Iraqi military was still able to command their forces on generator power after the electricity was knocked out. Bombing bridges never completely stopped supplies. Hitting communications never cut command and control. But as we found after a month in Iraq, for ordinary Iraqis, the choice of targets was devastating.
We have been having a disaster in slow motion over the last 4 months.
Doug Broderick, in charge of the Middle East for the American charity Catholic Relief Services, is a veteran of disasters. He served on the Thai-Cambodian border before moving to Baghdad. Since last spring, he has watched conditions steadily deteriorate.
The bombings knocked out the infrastructure in the country. The bombings knocked out the electricity. The bombings knocked out the water supply. If you don't have electricity for water, you can't pump the water, you can't use chlorinators, you don't have pumping station capabilities to get water out into the water supply network, out to the people.
So nothing works?
So nothing works. People were so desperate because of the water pressure being so minimal, they would crack open the pipe, for instance, in the middle of the block in order to extract water. This caused a great amount of pressure in the whole system, and it also caused sewage to seep into the water supply system in some areas in the south. I've walked through a village where there's been 3-4 inches of sewage on the street, which is entering into the water supply system. 60% of the people in the south are drinking contaminated water. I've seen a case of, for instance, a child, a 7-year-old child, who was thirsty and took kerosene to drink.
Kerosene?
And he took kerosene, drank the kerosene, and now when I saw him in the hospital, they were examining him to see if he had permanent lung damage as a result of the consumption of kerosene.
How much does a bottle of water cost?
A bottle of water costs 3 dinars, which is $9. And the water situation is not getting any better. It's becoming increasingly worse.
a direct result of the bombing. Just outside Baghdad, the Rustamiyeh sewage treatment plant served 3 million people. A direct hit cut the main sewage intake, but it was the destruction of the country's power grid that knocked out this plant's electrical and computer systems permanently. It has been shut down for 8 months.
So what is happening to the sewage now that used to get processed by this plant?
Now we are sending the sewage water to the river.
But don't people use the river for drinking water?
Yes, they use it to drink.
So how much sewage are you putting into the river?
All the water comes to the plant. They used to send it to the river.
So how much was that in gallons?
It's about 15 million gallons.
15 million gallons a day?
Hourly.
You're putting 15 million gallons an hour of raw sewage into the river?
Yes.
A recent UN report on Iraq stated, quote, "The ultimate threat is posed by the large quantities of sewage from upriver cities that flow untreated into the country's 2 major rivers. Much of the population is now obliged to drink this untreated water straight from the river," unquote. The threat is epidemics, now spreading out of control.
Doctor, what's wrong with this boy here?
He has typhoid fever, which is the most common infectious disease we face here in the city.
How many cases of typhoid are you seeing?
The figure is unbelievable, really, because daily in the whole province, 3,600 patients attending health centers. Of those 3,600 cases, 2,000 of them complaining of typhoid. And it's a horrible, unbelievable figure.
2,000 a day?
2,000 a day, yeah.
What happened when the electricity stopped?
It was a catastrophe because once the electricity has stopped, the water pump station has stopped, and the homes were deprived from good water supply, pure water supply. The sewage system has stopped. The whole atmosphere was polluted. The whole environment was polluted. And that's why we are getting a lot of infectious diseases like typhoid fever, like infectious hepatitis. I mean, the electricity is not only light. It's not only light. Electricity does not need only light.
The children's wards are overflowing. A Harvard study confirms that typhoid is at epidemic levels. And since the war, child mortality has tripled. Pentagon planners assured us that collateral damage to civilians would be minimal. But strategic targets, like a bridge, were often right next door.
I will tell you something. In this room, when they have bombed the bridge nearby the hospital, and they have bombed that bridge 12 times, and this bridge was just 150 meters from the hospital. We were all in the basement, and the whole hospital was shaken. And February was a very cold month, and we have a very big problem with keeping the babies warm, because, electricity was broken. There's no electricity, and it was horrible to keep these babies warm. Because of the bombing and because of the emotional trauma, a lot of ladies, they have got premature contraction of their uterus. And I have got 15 premature babies only in February. 15 premature babies. 6 of them died because we couldn't offer them the facilities to warm them. I can say that I don't know any Iraqi baby who has invaded Kuwait during the crisis. So how could the Iraqi babies be punished?